This is Total Football, and this is big breaking news because Manchester United have confirmed the appointment of head coach Ruben Amorim.
I truly believe that I'm the right guy in the right moment. I could be wrong, but the earth still will turn, the sun will rise again. It doesn't matter, so I'm not worried about that. I truly believe that I'm the right guy for this job.
Marcus Rashford was the right guy and did the job, scoring the first goal of Amorim's reign after just 2 minutes at Portman Road.
It's Rashford! It is utopian!
Ipswich, though, came back to claim a point. Rashford thought he'd made a point, but wouldn't be at United much longer. Indeed, by the time United went to City just before Christmas, Rashford wasn't present. No Garnacho either, but there was...
Ahmad through the middle, he's got a touch on it, and Ahmad has scored for Manchester United in the 90th minute!
Rashford would never play for Amorim again, and when United lost their next 4 games on the bounce, including this 3-0 home defeat to Bournemouth,
that may well do it for Bournemouth!
a storm was brewing, with little shelter for Amorim.
Charlotte. What is it, a drip?
Yeah.
Do you want to just move?
Yeah.
After 2 more defeats over Christmas, things looked up at the turn of the year with a draw at Anfield and an FA Cup win at Arsenal. But when United lost at home to Brighton, the famous Amorim frankness created what may well have been his biggest headline yet.
We are being the worst team, maybe, in history of Manchester United. I know that you want headlines, but I'm saying that because we have to acknowledge that and to change that.
February saw just 1 Premier League win, just 1 in March as well, followed by none at all in April, with this 4-1 defeat at Newcastle guaranteeing United's worst Premier League points haul ever.
I think the Premiership has caught this manager and his coaching staff out. And I know people do the homework, and these coaches and staff and obviously players do the homework before they go to a club. But I think he's gone in there and I think he's been shocked at how bad this group of players are.
At least there was a European final to look forward to. Amorim retaining the support of these fans in Bilbao. But he was under pressure from others, and his captain knew it.
Are you sort of surprised, grateful that you don't seem to be under the same kind of pressure, despite the fact that your team has a similar record to Spurs?
Who told you he's not? He is.
He wants my job.
United lost, the season not saved, and Amorim made his bosses an offer.
I'm always open. If the board and the fans feel that I'm not the right guy, I will go in the next day without any conversation about compensation. But I will not quit again. I'm really confident on my job. And as you can see, I will not change nothing in the way I do things.
So no change Amorim and no change made by the board. He was backed in the market to the tune of over 200 million, mainly up top. There were outs too. Another loan for Rashford, and Garnacho headed south. The new Premier League season started with 1 point from a possible 6, but there was worse to come. A wet night in Grimsby. The result was bad, the imagery even worse. Amorim looking lost during the game and not looking at all as United went out on penalties.
You don't often see that, do you? A manager in that pose.
A picture paints 1,000 words, and Amorim said the players had also spoken without talking.
The team and the players spoke really loud today. So that's it. And we lost, the best team won.
The team and the players spoke really loud. What do you mean by that? Could you...
Yeah, I think it's really clear what they spoke. So let's move on from this day. And I think was really clear for everybody what happened today. Sometimes I want to quit. Sometimes I want to be here for 20 years. Sometimes I love to be with my players. Sometimes I don't want to be with him.
A bad result always seemed to be just around the corner. 3-0 to City in September. The question was fast becoming not Zen, but when would Amorim go? He, though, was still digging in his heels.
Do you want to change now? Is that on your mind?
It's
did that come up with Sir Jim in your meeting with your assistant?
No. no one, not even the Pope, something got. It will not. This is my job. This is my responsibility. This is my life. So I will not change that.
Maybe there was some divine intervention, because the next day victory over Chelsea. But what one West London club giveth, another taketh away.
It's Brentford's day. For the third time in 4 seasons, they've downed Manchester United in West London.
Bringing a manager like that in terms of the system that he played, I don't think ever really suited the club of the traditions of Manchester United. And the quicker Manchester United make the decision on the manager, I think it's better for everybody, because, as I said, it's been a disaster for club, but also the manager. And we're only waiting for the inevitable, I think.
But hang on, the boss said different. Sir Jim Ratcliffe gave an interview saying Amorim needed 3 years. Then came that result and that performance at the place of all places, Anfield.
Back in by Fernandes. From Maguire! The massive moment! United win at Anfield for the first time in nigh on a decade.
The heady days, though, didn't last, and the year ended with lowly Wolves claiming a point at Old Trafford.
I'm not going to get emotional because I don't think it's something that is helpful for anybody, but that was the baddest of the bad, that was the baddest of the bad.
But 5 days later, Amorim did get emotional after another 1-1 draw, this time at Leeds.
No, guys, I just want to say that I came here to be the manager of Manchester United, not to be the coach. And every department, the scouting department, the sport director needs to do their job. I will do mine for 18 months and then we move on.
Thank you.
And now, move on it is. Yet another to try and fail in the Old Trafford hot seat. Gary Cottrell, Sky Sports.
Ruben Amorim has been sacked. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's time to go, wasn't it? Time was up. Players stopped playing for him, so...
What did you make of his comments in the media as well after the Leeds game? It's a lot going on.
Just giving up, didn't he? So he just threw the towel in.
Have you got any sympathy for him?
Not really, no. He's earns enough money, doesn't he?
Not that surprised. A little disappointed that they didn't give him more time. I'm a bit tired of the revolving door of managers. It's like, they hire one, 18 months later, they fire him, they sack him. It's a bit frustrating.
We are already better than we were this time last year, so I don't understand why it's happened.
There's been a lot of talk of falling out with the ball. We've seen his press conferences as well. So it does feel like that element has really played a huge part here.
Yeah, I think there's possibly more ego than just straight up analysis of what's going on at play here, and that's not in the club's best interests. It's really frustrating as a fan.
I do think it's all about Ineos, to be honest. Some of the decisions that's been going on, treatment of players, I just don't think it's good enough at all, to be honest.
What manager can come in and change it? I think Ollie should have been given more time. I think out of all the managers since Fergie, I think he did the best with what squad he had. Mourinho, couldn't fault him, but from here it's a mystery.
Well, interesting opinions there, and over on our website and app you can follow the latest on Amorim's sacking. We're also asking in our poll, was it the right decision to sack Ruben Amorim? At the moment, 53% say yes and 47% say no. So opinion is split at the moment. Our top story today, Ruben Amorim is leaving Manchester United, having been sacked as their head coach after 14 months in charge. There'll be plenty of Premier League managers asked about that over the coming days. Let's get some reaction from another Portuguese head coach in the top flight. Here's the West Ham boss, Nuno Espirito Santo.
Like everybody, surprised, sad. He's Portuguese, young manager. But this is what it is, I think. We are aware that this is how the industry works.
He's at the start of his career. He's at the start of he's much earlier in his career than you are. What would your kind of advice be to him in terms of bouncing back from something like this?
This is what you have to do. Go back home, reset, get ready for the next challenge.
The former Manchester United defender Mikel Silvestre will join us shortly to give us his reaction to Ruben Amorim's sacking. On Sky Sports Fan Club earlier, Jamie O'Hara said it's the right decision, but Amorim is not solely to blame for the problems at the club.
Man United fans will be upset because, you think, it's another manager gets the sack, it's turmoil and, turning a page and starting again. Good riddance. He ain't good enough to be the Man United manager. Simple as that. You stuck at him, you stuck with him because you thought we'd give him a chance, and we're going to stick by him, and we need to give managers time. He ain't good enough. You've seen it. The stats are there. They don't lie. Man United are nowhere near good enough. They've not been good enough since he's come in. He made the club worse. And he come out with all this spill about how he wanted to play and his philosophy and where we want to take the club and this and that, changing the culture, blah, blah, blah. He ain't good enough. The board ain't been good enough either. They've been miles off it. Since the Ten Hag thing, since the Dan Ashworth thing, we can sit here and say, they've acted quickly. He's come out and dug the ball out and we sack him. And we go, that's not good enough. Man United are in... Well, hold on a minute. It wasn't long ago that, he was on here, Ratcliffe, talking about he's going to have 3 years and this is out this and we're going to do that. And next minute he's sacked. What does Jason Wilcox know? You brought in a manager who plays 3-4-3. You made that decision when you brought Ruben Amorim in. We can all sit here and argue about his tactical decisions. And Jason Wilcox sits down with him on a Friday and wants to go through the tactics and he's not happy with what he's hearing, well, what do you expect? Jason Wilcox's not there to talk to him about tactics. Ruben Amorim is the manager or the head coach. And if you don't like what he's about, then you do what you've done. You've sacked him, right? And that's fine. But I don't think you should be sat there and Jason Wilcox on a Friday having a conversation about how I'm going to play against Leeds United. The director of football's job is to run the football club in a football aspect. Recruitment, scouting, players that we want to approach, people that we want to see. He has got absolutely nothing to do with how I pick the team and what I do on a Saturday afternoon and how I want to play.
Manchester United also, and the board and the owners and the Glazers should take responsibility in this, although they never do. They lost David Gill, who was the chief executive at the time that Ferguson left. He left as well, and that was a huge loss for them. So, look, this was an issue of leadership at the top and leadership in the dugout. I think when Amorim was appointed, I think people were quite excited. You looked at what he'd done at Sporting in Lisbon. He was a young, progressive coach. But I think what let him down, and I hope one day maybe he reflects on this, is that he was too stubborn and that he looked at that squad, which was stocked with wingers, underperforming wingers like Rashford and Garnacho and Anthony, and thought, well, how can I bring the best out of them? But he didn't. He stuck with his ways, and now it's the highway.
United legend Rio Ferdinand is focusing on who comes next. He posted on social media, I would go De Zerbi, Tuchel, Xavi or Darren Fletcher if he does well.
I think it's a realistic option. I mean, you're talking about a guy that has won titles with Barcelona. He has that gravitas from being one of the best midfielders of his generation. But there's an irony here about him being linked with Manchester United, because why ultimately did he leave Barcelona? It was because he spoke up publicly about the club's financial situation, about whether the club could continue to be competitive with the financial restrictions that they had. And that ultimately led to his dismissal. He speaks good English, he's a football obsessive, so I think he'd be an interesting candidate, but he wouldn't go quietly. He wouldn't be somebody who'd just go along with what the club necessarily wanted.
Darren Fletcher will come in, will calm everything down. He'll bring the fans who've been unbelievably patient. Certainly the match-going fans have been fantastically patient, given the nonsense of some of the performances that's been served up to them by Amorim. But then it is who out there is the right person. I mean, look, it's a World Cup summer. There's always movement in tournament summers in terms of coaches coming and going. It's a more fluid market and there may be more elite talent on show. But, there are not many people around. There are not many Peps available. And he's certainly not going to cross Manchester.
Welcome back. Quick reminder of the huge breaking news today that Ruben Amorim has been sacked by Manchester United as their head coach after 14 months in charge. United saying in a statement it was the right time to make a change to give the team the best opportunity of the highest possible Premier League finish. Our chief correspondent, Kaveh Solokol, is alongside me. That's a snippet of United's take on things. Have you got further details on how they see this?
Yeah, look, I think there are two sides to every story. From Manchester United's perspective, I think they feel that Ruben Amorim has been too emotional, he's been too inconsistent, and also there have been issues with his tactics. And I think we have to centre in on a meeting on Friday, which Ruben Amorim had with the director of football at United, Jason Wilcox. And I think this meeting was called to give him some feedback about the performance against Wolves a couple of days earlier. A really disappointing draw at home when United went back to playing with three at the back again. And I think the feeling from Jason Wilcox was that, look, we seem to have made some progress against Newcastle. We played with 4 at the back. You've got to be flexible. You have to adapt your tactics. And I think certain people at United were shocked by Amorim's reaction at that meeting, that he was quite negative, he was quite emotional, and then he had his news conference with the media after that meeting, and you could see that he was clearly annoyed about something. So I think it all has to do with this meeting on Friday, leading to a breakdown in relations between Ruben Amorim and Jason Wilcox. And the decision to sack Ruben Amorim was made by Jason Wilcox and Omar Barada, who is the chief executive. But obviously it would have been ratified by the board as well and Jim Ratcliffe. But it's quite unusual to sort of have this much information about a manager, head coach, I should say, who leaves a club. But I think United just feel that when he came in, he added the sort of stability and the structure, and he was part of the structure that they'd put in place. But as time went on, with his sort of comments in the media, with being quite emotional in what he was saying and sometimes going off script and being negative and reacting in the way he has done to feedback and criticism at times, they just felt, look, it was best if they called it a day and they go in a different direction.
But I think there are 2 separate things there that yesterday, everyone knew he's asking for trouble speaking the way that he did, in the same way that Enzo Maresca was asking for trouble speaking the way that he did at Chelsea. The other part of it where you're talking about tactics is, where is the line drawn as to how much influence someone like Jason Wilcox should have? That Ineos have been there 2 years now. This is their biggest appointment, him as the head coach. That once you appoint him as head coach, and I'm assuming when you do, you know that he plays 3 at the back, do you not just leave him to do his job?
Look, I think from his point of view, from Enzo Maresca's point of view, he is maybe not the manager. His title isn't the manager, but he is the manager. And he was clear that when he got the job, he would be in charge of all football matters. Yes, of course, he's going to work with the director of football. He's going to work with everyone else there. But he just felt that there was too much interference, that he was going to stick to his principles. He was going to decide how the team played. Now, there's 2 sides to every story. I've told you Manchester United's version of what went on. I think from Ruben Amorim's side is that Manchester United were on the right track. If you look at the league table, they have the same points as Chelsea, who are in 5th place. 5th place will almost certainly get you in the Champions League. He wanted to make a couple of signings this January. That wasn't possible. United have backed him in the transfer market. They've spent something like £250 million. But I think this is just another example, exactly the same as we saw with Maresca, where these modern head coaches, managers, are finding it difficult to fit into the structures that have been put in place at clubs in this country and all over the world. And you've got to have a good relationship with your director of football. You have to have a good relationship with everybody at the club. If that breaks down, then you are going to be losing your job. Enzo Maresca resigned. Ruben Amorim has been sacked. He saw it coming. I think he knew what was going to happen, but he was confident that he was on the right track to bringing success back to Manchester United. But of course, look at his record. You've got to say, finishing 15th last season. If you were going to change managers, surely the time to do it would have been in the summer, not now, especially when you knew that he was wedded to playing with 3 at the back.
Yeah, I think there are 2 points to pick up on from what you said there, that rightly so, that those who used to be managers who are now head coaches largely have less power throughout the club, and there are very few in the Premier League. You would say Pep Guardiola still holds a lot of power. Unai Emery at Villa, I think the club is built around him, so he holds a lot of the power. But there is more and more Ruben Amorim's and Enzo Maresca, because that's why he's the head coach. Liverpool appointed Arne Slot, who became the head coach, not the manager. That anyone going into clubs now has to accept that they probably have a little less power than people used to. Being on the right track, you're absolutely right. They're 3 points behind Liverpool in 4th. They're only 4 points ahead of Crystal Palace in 13th, 14th in the table. So is it a calculated risk to get rid of him where they are near to the top 4?
Well, look, they feel they've got a better chance of qualifying for Europe by making a change now. If they didn't feel that, they wouldn't have made the change.
Do you think it's more about a football decision than just the optics and what's happened?
I think it's to do with relationships behind the scenes at the club. Ruben Amorim not getting on with the people he needs to get on with. Ruben Amorim feeling that he's not being supported. Ruben Amorim feeling that he was made promises that haven't been kept. On the other hand, the people who run Manchester United, Ruben Amorim is not in charge of the football club, feel that he is not evolving, he is not adapting, he is being too stubborn. He was told what the policy was going to be. He was told that they were going to sign a world-class midfielder next summer. He was told that if one of their targets became available in January, then they would move for that target. And it's obvious to every United fan who watches them, what is the point of always playing with three at the back? It's not the United way. Surely you've got to be adaptable. So I think Ruben Amorim is somebody who's emotional. He's a very intense person. But I go back to this meeting at Friday, and his reaction to that meeting has led to him leaving Manchester United.
All right, Carve, thank you very much for the moment. On the way, much more reaction to Ruben Amorim's.
Ya saltan 1K y el Barrio. Es determinante cuánto daño puede hacer el conjunto de 1K, sobre todo con Granero en esas primeras de cambio en la salida de escalera. Así que esa parte del partido va a ser absolutamente clave para el equipo de Iker Casillas. Por cierto, felicitar porque ha venido una buena afición de 1K.
Tiene la pelota Gerard Noya en cara, sigue Noya, dispara, Arnalot.
80 paradas.
Ya para Arnalot. Gil Vidal ataca desde la derecha el número 9. Gil Vidal con el centro, buena pelota, Arché, con la rodilla le pegó. Pues es el que desatasca un poco el partido, ¿no? Con centros, ojo ahí, se golpeó, el remate, ¡gol! ¡Mar Valiente! ¡Gol! ¡Del Barrio! ¡Marca Mar Valiente! Esa banda izquierda que es terreno de los cañonazos de Granero, a la que tengo un mínimo de espacio, le pega Granero. Bueno, pues es decirlo, y ahí lo tenemos. El tema es que el remate le ha salido centrado. Abraham, buena pelota, banda derecha. Vamos a ver qué hace ahí Fran Rodríguez. Se mete en el área, sigue Fran. ¡Qué bien, Fran! Se va de dos, el remate fuera.
¡Chicos!
A ver si acierta. ¡Claro que sí! Busca el Barrio el segundo gol. Arché para Gil. Gil que le puede pegar a este Gil. Buen recorte. ¡Gil al palo! ¡Le manda Arché!
¡Dios! ¡No! Madre mía, qué parada. Y a centímetros del remate, ¿eh?
No, la reacción ha sido impresionante. ¡El disparo! ¡Madre de Dios! ¡Otro que vuela! ¡Otro más! Que está la pelota para John de la Cruz, la quiere levantar, vuelve a pegar la pelota en el cuerpo de un jugador del Barrio, el remate con la puntera y acaba deteniendo a Gerard Vacas. Será córner favorable a 1K. Bueno, a ver.
Gol doble.
A ver, saque de banda. Balón puesto en movimiento, intentaba rematar Mar Valiente, el remate, ¡gol! ¡Baufer! ¡Gol!
Y es
penalti
¡madre
normal.
mía lo de los penaltis!
Penalti normal. Y el que quiere hacer el 0-3 es el número 4, pega Valiente. ¡Vaya cañón! ¡Gol! Ahí están Arnalot y Vacas como candidatos, como guardametas, y también Mar Valiente y Pau Ferojo la recuperación. Tiene la pelota al Barrio que puede sentenciar el remate. ¡Gol!
Knockout.
¡Gol!
¡Let's go, Barrio! Ponme el 5.
El cambio del partido ha sido radical en los últimos 10 minutos. El balón que lo tiene. ¡Ojo!
¡Ay! Jaimitada.
Marca de nuevo el Barrio, gol de Fran Fuentes. El equipo de Juan Arroita, que no ganaba un encuentro con esta tranquilidad, entre comillas, al final, con un margen tan amplio, con 2 goles dobles que han hecho pasar el partido del 0-3 al 0-7.
Paufer, ha costado, pero por fin ha llegado esa victoria tan deseada con goleada.
Ha costado mucho, pero bueno, le damos emoción hasta el momento final, recta final, y ahora, pase lo que pase con Pío, nos lo jugaremos contra ellos.
Eso te iba a decir, pase lo que pase con Pío, la semana que viene, o ellos, o tú, o tu ex equipo, o tú.
Bueno, o el Barrio o ellos, pero sí. La vida, yo qué sé, no sé, son cosas muy raras que suceden, pero ahí estaremos. Ahora estoy en el barrio, así que espero que gane el barrio.
Enhorabuena y a disfrutarlo.
Gracias.